Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the performances that transcended the music world and became important cultural moments. Number 10. The Wall Meets the Wall. Roger Waters, mastermind behind Pink Floyd's groundbreaking album The Wall, once said in an interview that, after leaving Pink Floyd in 1985, he was reluctant to play songs from The Wall on stage. He did say, however, that there were certain circumstances under which he would be open to playing the songs. Say, for example, if the Berlin Wall came down.
The atmosphere here with the East German border guards and the people that are involved with this site and have been sort of keeping everybody off it for the last 40 years is very, I don't know if you've felt it, but they're so glad that this is happening.
Thus, it was decided that Waters would perform the album in Berlin's former no man's land 8 months after the fall of the wall. Waters was joined by an impressive lineup of heavyweight artists, including Sinead O'Connor, Joni Mitchell, and Van Morrison. The concert was also released as an album and is regarded as one of the greatest live albums ever. Hey! Teacher! Leave them kids alone! Number 9. Johnny Cash Walks the Line. Johnny Cash was never one to play by the rules, and that's why the public loved the Man in Black. An outlaw spirit who had his fair share of brushes with the law, Cash sympathized with prison inmates. He advocated for prison reform, and as early as the late 50s, started to visit and perform in prisons.
San Quentin, you've been living hell to me.
The real moment of magic came on February 24, 1969, when Cash performed live at California's San Quentin prison. Fueled in part by his annoyance with the British film crew filming the concert, Cash led a rowdy crowd of inmates with a rebellious, energetic, and career-defining set.
I want to remind you we're recording live here today, so you can't say hell or or anything like that.
Number 8. Monsters of Rock in Moscow. Change was clearly being felt in the air by those who attended the Monsters of Rock festival that was held in Moscow back in 1991. The days of the USSR were numbered, and the former Soviet Union was poised to enter a new era of freedom. These freedoms were expressed musically within Monsters of Rock via a ticket price that was, you guessed it, free. This was despite efforts to postpone the show by the Soviet Army. Ultimately, the likes of AC/DC, Metallica, and Pantera provided fuel for the fire of societal upheaval that was taking place within the country. It was a momentous occasion not only for the bands and fans, but for Russia as a whole. Number 7. Altamont Speedway Free Festival. The Rolling Stones concert at the Altamont Speedway in 1969 is infamous for bringing a somber end to the Summer of Love. Anticipated as a sort of spiritual sequel to Woodstock, the concert featured a number of popular bands and was attended by 300,000 fans, as well as a group of Hell's Angels, who were unofficially hired to provide security. The event became increasingly violent throughout the day, and when the Stones took to the stage, things came to a head as one concertgoer whipped out a gun and was fatally stabbed by one of the Hell's Angels. Before the night was over, there would be 2 more deaths. Rolling Stone magazine later said it was, quote, rock and roll's all-time worst day. Number 6. Michael Jackson's Moonwalk. He didn't create the move, but MJ sure as hell popularized it. The moonwalk has cropped up throughout pop culture since the 1930s, such as James Brown and the Blues Brothers, for example, but there's only one name synonymous with the move: Michael Jackson. He lit up the world when he first rocked the moonwalk at Motown 25, Yesterday, Today, and Forever in March 1983. Jackson added his signature flair and gravitas to the move by spinning and posing in his sequins, black jacket, and white glove, stopping the world for a moment and then dropping the Moonwalk bomb. In modern times, it would have broken the internet, but in the 1980s, Jackson had to just settle for blowing minds. Number 5. Jimi Hendrix plays the Star-Spangled Banner at Woodstock. Woodstock, 4 days of peace and love, rocked the world with many incredible performances from groups as diverse as The Who to Jefferson Airplane. None, however, had the cultural impact of Jimi Hendrix. Due to the festival being horribly off schedule and following Sha Na Na, Hendrix finally took the stage early Monday morning, with a mere 30,000 of the 400,000 plus audience still in attendance. The remaining few were stunned when Hendrix broke out a passionate rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner, with the full Jimi Hendrix treatment. It was a performance that both channeled counterculture rebellion and anger towards the Vietnam War, but also Hendrix's unbridled love for America. Number 4. Bob Dylan goes electric at Newport. A fan favorite of the Newport Folk Festival, thanks to his appearances in 1963 and 64, Bob Dylan rattled the cage a little too hard in 1965. By 65, Dylan had been labeled the spokesman of a generation and had earned Newport's headlining bill.
Who killed Davy Moore? Why and what's the reason for?
Taking the stage with members from the Paul Butterfield Blues Band, and armed with a Fender Stratocaster electric guitar, Mr. Zimmerman parted ways with his folk brethren, as boos and jeers erupted from the pursuits of the festival, including its organizers. Dylan let loose with electric guitars and the energy of rock and roll. It was a major turning point, signaling the decline of folk and the rise of rock and roll.
How does it feel? How does it feel?
Number 3. Elvis on the Milton Berle Show.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time.
By the time he performed on the Milton Berle Show on June 5, 1956, Elvis had already appeared on television plenty of times, including a previous appearance on Burl's show.
Yeah, you ain't nothing but a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine.
This time around, however, things were different. Guitarless and free to move around the stage, Presley became a quivering mass of windmilling arms and gyrating hips while performing an overcharged version of Hound Dog.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog.
He may have been chastised by the press and conservative America, but Elvis won over America's youth, who very promptly crowned him the king of rock and roll.
Well, you ain't nothing but a rabbit. You ain't no friend of mine.
Number 2. The Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show.
And then while I'm away, I'll ride home every day.
The Ed Sullivan Show gave the world a collection of incredible and controversial music moments, like the censored hip-swinging of Elvis Presley, but no moment compares to the debut performance of the Beatles.
When I say that something, I wanna hold your hand.
On February 9, 1964, to an estimated US television record of 73 million viewers, the Beatles took the stage and kicked off the British invasion.
Now I'll never dance with another.
On that night, John, Paul, George, and Ringo bridged the gap between British and American music, globalizing the industry with a forged bond that would forever link the two. The performance launched America into a craze unlike anything before it. Beatlemania had arrived, and would eventually figuratively end with the Beatles' iconic rooftop concert in 1969, and music would never be the same again. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Queen at Live Aid. On July 13, 1985, the biggest bands in the world of rock and roll came together for Live Aid to support relief efforts for the Ethiopian famine. On a day featuring a reunited Led Zeppelin, The Who, Black Sabbath, and Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and U2's epic 14-minute rendition of Bad, it was Queen that stole the show. In a mere 21-minute set, they crammed in Bohemian Rhapsody, Radio Gaga, Hammer to Fall, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, and a finale of We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. The performance was incredible, as Freddie Mercury commanded the stage and the 72,000-person crowd in what proved to be one of his last major performances. What's your favorite musical performance of all time? Let us know in the comments. Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.